We've got Damon Duncan from Citrix who'll go ahead and lead us through their presentation today. So thank you very much, Damon.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, everybody. I'm glad everybody's here today. We're going to go ahead and hop into it. I've got a lot of information to go through. I was trying to trim my slides down and got it down to as far as I could so you guys could get some really good information. So my name is Damon Duncan. I am a partner solutions engineer with Citrix. Today we're going to be going over some information. This is my email address for everybody that you can email me later if you have any questions after the Q&A and after the session as well. We're going to go through the workspace. We're going to go through our SIA and SWA, that's Secure Internet Access and Secure Workspace Access. And then we're going to follow it up and finish it all with Citrix Analytics. So recently, with a lot of the things that have been going on, remote working employees, it's been a challenge for a lot of employees. It's also been a challenge for a lot of companies, especially with the epidemic. So working remote, it's not an option. It's the only option that we had. Went better than expected for some companies. Some struggled, some didn't. But for the most part, workers were able to remain productive, but not without some challenges and some adjustments. And the workspace can help minimize those challenges, allowing the remote workers to do their best work more efficiently. So here are just some of the numbers from some of the marketing. So there's been $2 trillion in economic gains from the untapped talent pool. So you've had a lot of people that were already at home and were unemployed, and all of a sudden now they're employable because they are at home. 69% of remote workers reported that they increased their productivity. I'm actually part of that 69%. I found myself working on a more frequent basis, which was kind of shocking to me, but not a surprise, just given my nature. 83% of the remote workers say that they have a better work-life balance, which is something that a lot of people and a lot of companies here in the US are striving for. And then overall, as far as an environmental impact, it's an estimated 214 tons of carbon emissions reduced annually due to the pandemic because people started working from home. So the employee experience and the considerations that we kind of think about is 81% of workers believe in decreasing that burnout. I've been part of this. That's happened to me a couple of times, and it kind of wears on you a little bit. A lot of employees also say they spend a lot of time switching between those apps, and it actually kind of slows down their productivity because they have to change how they're thinking and what they're doing before they start their next action. And then 67% of employees believe that being always on has had a negative impact on their health and wellness. And I can actually agree with all three of these. I've experienced all three of these in my tenure as an employee, even with Citrix, working remotely. And a lot of it is based on just my overall my work habits. So the 4 ways that work that the workspace can enhance these experiences is we can unify this work by aggregating that workspace services with both Citrix and third party through a single UI, simplifying that work using intelligence and integrations to streamline those workflows that we're all used to. We can work by securing that work. This isn't optional anymore. It's frictionless for your workers, and it's not going to slow them down, which is one of those balancing acts that we have to find through security. And then last but not least, optimizing that application quality and their performance so that it's flexible for your employees. So this is the Workspace Experience app. Usually this slide builds out, but I wanted to save some time. So the concept around the Workspace is to have one app that's fully functional across all different devices, whether it be a corporate, a personal phone or a tablet, or even through a public kiosk. I have used Citrix Workspace at a hotel business center computer. I've used it on a personal laptop, a personal desktop. I use it on my phone. So I use it across, and I get the same performance and the same experience across all of them. Obviously, layouts are a little different when you go from a massive monitor that you're used to working on, whether it be on a laptop or a desktop, down to a phone or a tablet. There are some layout issues, but as far as overall experience and access to data and applications, it's still the same. You can connect with local and mobile apps, SaaS, virtual apps, macro apps, and even content applications as well. Industry leader in the DaaS offerings. They're simple, flexible, modern. So one of the things that Citrix Workspace is really focused on is bringing the customer's ability to work in 3 different manners through full Citrix managed. Citrix provides the VDI delivery services. The only thing the admins, the customers have to do is make some configuration settings. Citrix manages everything else from there. Down to the next step down, which would be hybrid, which is where Citrix is going to provide those services, and the admin again is only going to have to configure the settings, but the admin is going to install and manage and configure those applications and desktops in their on-prem or in their own cloud. All the way down to computer managed. This is what our traditional way, which would have been an on-prem installation. Admin's going to install everything. They're going to manage everything. They're going to configure everything. And the thing with Workspace is it works across all 3 different scenarios, depending on what the customer's needs are. So it's a unified experience, single sign-on, all apps virtual. Well, let's see here. There we go. All right, well, it's not going to let me go back, so we'll keep going forward. All right, so the intelligent experience, one of the things that we've been working through is to really make this, the workspace, as intuitive as possible. We as consumers and our users are used to workspaces. Think of Facebook. It's very, very intuitive. You go here to search, you go here to add people, you go here to look at your memories, you go to here to message. And we wanted to bring the same kind of feel to the workspace. We wanted to be very intuitive. So you have a search buzz brought in recently. It's actually been around for a little over a year, and it's gone through some tweaks and it's gone through some changes, and it's getting better. We're working on making it a little more the programmable ability of the micro apps a little more intuitive for administrators. So it's not like so that you don't have to have programming experience to really make it work. But what this micro app does is it takes those automatic functions and those really small applications like requesting a PTO and condenses it all down into one action. So if you think about when you have, if anybody uses Workday, you have to go in, you got to click, you got to open Workday, and if you've got single sign-on in, it'll log you in. If not, then you got to log in. Then you got to go to the section for time off, and then you got to go to time off, and then you got to select how many days. Then you got to put your comment in, and you got to put your dates. Whereas this would create an actual micro app, and it actually pulls out that request PTO piece and creates an application where it's part of the workspace. And which the way ours at Citrix is configured is it's part of the commonly used actions. So you click request PTO, you put in all the information like you would in Workday, you hit submit and you're done. So there's no longer you have to go into Workday to do those extra steps. It's actually right there on the workspace for you. One of the ones that I'm highlighting here, just because I'm a former help desk and systems administrator, IT self-service. Users can put in their own IT tickets, and it goes to the IT desk, and it's and the IT people pick the tickets up from there. This is an integration with ServiceNow that was one of the first ones out of the box. It's an out-of-the-box integration with for IT self-service, so you can literally take this micro app out of the box. And there are communities out there where micro apps are developed, and people share them back and forth. Where micro apps come, and this is one of the first ones. So your customers can actually, your users can go in, create a service request and send it off, and your IT people can pick it up from there. That way they're not waiting on a phone. Your IT people are not manning phones as much, and they can get the cases on a more timely manner and address them as they need. So maximizing the value with the only complete workspace. So you have different UEM vendors, file sync, and everything else. And you can access all this with a single solution with Citrix Workspace. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to envelop the entire environment from edge to edge and give the customer the access to do everything that they needed to do with one workspace. So the newest shiny thing that we've had is secure workspace access and secure internet access. And the reason for the spinning coin is it's because it is different sides of the same coin. They both do the same thing, but they do it a little differently. So secure internet access is going to secure those personal and unauthorized applications, those unsanctioned apps on an endpoint, whereas a secure workspace access is going to secure those authorized applications, hence different sides of the same coin. So it is identity aware, zero trust access, protection from web and unsanctioned apps. You stop threats entering from branch and from the home. So for those with the BYOD with the BYOD environments, it is beneficial there. If you don't have a BYOD, it is just as beneficial as well. So Citrix has a unified approach to SASE, users, devices, locations. It all feeds into the unified management for secure internet access, which falls with secure web gateway in the firewall, the cloud access security broker, and so forth and so on. And within the Citrix Workspace, SaaS and internet as well. Citrix has met all of Gartner requirements for Gartner Secure Access Service Edge. So it is a true SASE solution. So the Secure Internet Access Cloud, it's delivered through a global presence of security data centers, and each of these offers a full security stack as well. So the high density points of presence ensures that employees always have a local point of presence to connect into, which will eliminate a lot of the latency concerns. The high density POPs are going to ensure that the resiliency is built into the architecture. So for instance, an employee in Seattle could connect to the point presence at Seattle. But in case that point of presence fails, the employee will automatically be connected to the backup point of presence. For instance, being in Seattle, it's going to connect to the next nearest one, which would be Vancouver. So the architecture, it offers that fast and consistent connectivity to SaaS and internet, and will be further complemented with Citrix SD-WAN so that we can ensure the productive employee experience regardless of their location. So it's comprehensive, it's cloud delivered for security and secure access to SaaS and internet. Protects all users. It's going to inspect all traffic, full SSL inspection at scale. That's a default functionality, and it will block the latest threats. That's automated. Obviously, threats are always ongoing. So as soon as they come out, and as soon as the SIA is retooled, it is starting to protect, which could take anywhere from immediate to probably a few minutes while they get everything updated as needed. Now, the SIA solves some critical customer challenges. It secures that direct internet access for both remote and branch users. It's going to be a consistent security policy for all users in all locations, and it's automatically scales as your business grows. So if your business is in the growing stages, this will scale with you. And if you have contraction due to seasonal business, then it will contract with you as well. So the secure workspace for hybrid workers, this is a remote access to those internet web apps, which is and provides a VPN-less access, contextual access with multi-factor authentication. There is a secure access for bring your own and your unmanaged devices, as well as SSO, and some enhanced security for your SaaS and your web apps. So it's an overall approach, the term holistic approach for securing access. So your users are on the outside, and the big thing now is zero trust. You're not trusting the users. You're not trusting the devices at all. So the Citrix perimeter protects that environment, but it's going to allow access for users. So you get a single access point. So users are going to get contextual access to their apps, their information, the resources that they need. And now that IT has full visibility into the environment, and they can manage all the devices, and it controls the policies for user access. And for end users, the experience is familiar, it's secure, and it's productive on any device. So this is how the secure workspace access via a native browsing experience would work. So if you use a native browser on the endpoint, this is the way it would work. Is if you don't have enhanced security off, it would just open in the standard browser. But when you turn it on, it would, if it's allowed, it would open in the standard browser. If you deny it, it would block it. If you redirect it, it will open within the browser that you have configured within the workspace, whether that be Chrome or Firefox or Edge or any of the other browsers that you would like to use. So we're going to go ahead and hop into Citrix Analytics. So Citrix Analytics is built around AI and machine learning, and it truly is built around those particular functions. It's taking it's got collecting all that data from all the endpoints, content collaborations, your networking points, your virtual apps and desktops. It's collecting all that data. It's generating insights based on how those devices and how those different areas are being utilized, and you can take actions to the point where you can, especially with security, you can lock users out of their accounts because they are doing something that they don't normally do. Or you can just monitor them because they're accessing a file that they don't usually access all of a sudden, but they're not doing anything malicious yet, but you want to take a look at it. So it'll just monitor what they do and what they click on, and it'll look for data exfiltration and things like that. So Citrix Analytics is very unique. It is very turnkey. You can actually set up a Citrix trial for analytics, and it is a 60-day trial. And after that, you would have to go through the purchase process, but it's one of the few cloud services that has no agents. You basically have to configure your data source, and it just starts pulling in data for data collection. And it will start, and obviously the more data you have to collect over time, the better it can analyze and develop those accurate insights so that you can respond in an autonomous manner. Like I said, to the point where you could lock users out, because nowadays, especially one of the big things is most of the threats now, not only are from external, those are always there, but what's been happening recently is that internal threats have been on the rise, data exfiltration and things of that nature. So Citrix Analytics does both. It will help you with external threats as well as those internal threats as well, whatever the case may be. So just an overview from a security. So internal behavior, those internal threats and data exfiltration attacks. You can track and model individual user behaviors, and you can identify and aggregate those risky behaviors. Citrix uses a score method that the higher the score, the higher the threat, the lower the score, the lower the threat. And you can create policies based on individual users and what their actions are. App security analytics, we can protect against those external attacks that I spoke about. You can rank applications based on risk. So if you have if there are applications that are more riskier than others, like Facebook, which a lot of companies like to block or like to limit because of the data that can be pulled from it, you can put those on a higher risk and monitor the usage, or you can block them altogether. And it will even actually give you mitigation steps to go through to achieve better security footprint. And then data security, you can track sensitive files via DLP engines. And then from a performance and ops standpoint, you can monitor app network and the infrastructure, application usage across all users and groups. those resources require, and the resources required to deliver applications. You can keep tabs on what's going on with your brokers, whether they be in the cloud, whether they be on-prem, and whether they be in spread across different cloud providers as well. I was on a customer and they had workloads on Azure and AWS. I was with another one that had workloads on AWS and Google. As long as the data sources are filled into the analytics page, it will pull information from either. It doesn't matter. It is a cloud agnostic product. There's an end-to-end app performance, highlight issues for RCA, and then app performance and anomaly detection. So not only does it map those end-to-end performance and those highlight issues for RCA, it will actually detect when anomalies occur or when people are using the app maybe inappropriately, or they haven't used it before, or they haven't used it in a while. And that is it.
So, Damon, we got one question that came in here. So one of the folks here have asked, does analytics gather the PBS analytics? Can we get any information on as to how that interfaces with PBS, provisioning services?
What kind of information are you looking for? Because the reason I ask is because analytics is strictly looking at the Citrix ecosystem. So if it's within the Citrix environment, if it's a Citrix product, it's going to gather that kind of information. So are they looking for boot times and logon times and things like that? Because it does, the performance analytics does track logon times. It does track boot times. It tracks black hole PCs, black hole virtual machines, that machines that have not provided, say, I think the lowest threshold is, I think, like 4 or 5 connection attempts from different people. It will black hole the machine, and then it will pop up a report, and you can go find out, why is this machine black holing? Why is it not connecting? So there are some analytics that it will pull from a performance perspective, and will give you insight into PVS. But there's some other questions that we could dig into on that one, 100%.
Well, cool. Well, thank you very much, Damon. We really appreciate the presentation today. I know that there's been a lot of change and a lot of things that Citrix has been improving and growing their cloud environment. So thank you for your time today.